What's up? It's your girl, Josine Anderson, host of The Exhibit, and we are that much closer to primetime Thursday night of the 2025 NFL Draft. And one of the biggest things people are going to be watching for, of course, is where is Shedeur Sanders going to land? Now, there have been a lot of mocks with people saying he's going to go here, he's going to go there, high and low. But this post for me right now is about where I feel like Shedeur is best suited. What is the best team? What's actually in his best interest when all factors are considered? And for me, when I take a look at that, I think that that team, as I milk it out just a tad bit more, is the New Orleans Saints. When I think about what Kellen Moore, as the first year offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, did in conjunction with Jalen Hurts last year in helping him to a career high completion percentage, touchdown percentage, and tied for his best in yards per attempt, and not only winning a Super Bowl, I think that that pair is a really good match. Now, beyond talking about personality blends, let's just back up a little bit here. The smaller market, when I think about everything that Shedeur represents, the pedigree, the magnetism, the charisma, the family, what he's used to. If I'm thinking about what I think is best for him, juxtaposing that smaller market, relatively speaking to others, right? That New Orleans provides, I think would actually be best to take a step down away from the glare and also be closer to family that he has in Texas. I think about the community in New Orleans and how he would be embraced there in a little bit of a way that's a different vibe, from maybe another team that you all know I'm be talking about soon. So those are the things that I'm considering. Not only that, but when I think about the demeanor of Kellen Moore, right? I think he would be a good balancing energy and vibe for all that Shedeur represents and can be, right? I feel like there's a lot that he can teach with just how he conducts himself. And Kellen, to my surprise, actually from leaving from Dallas, proved himself, on that stage, especially when it comes to running the offense and making adjustments, things that I feel like Shedeur can really learn, from. And then let's take a look at some of those assets. I know some of the local media out there, when I listen to y'all get down about the team that you had. But Olave, is a good asset, I feel, for Shedeur. Obviously, the team making the decision to pick up the fifth-year option. Brandon Cooks, not only just a veteran wide receiver, but a good balancing veteran wide receiver for Shedeur, who can teach him a lot, especially with the journeyman experience that Cooks has had and being able to bestow all of that wisdom, on Shedeur as well. And of course, they've got Alvin Kamara on the rock, and they got all those OGs on defense, from Cam Jordan to Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu, and what have you. And yes, people are like, oh, it's the Saints, da-da-da-da-da-da. But I still remember the way they started off last season, 2-0. Yes, the first win was against the Panthers, but they did have a very impressive win in Dallas, at Dallas, 44-19, before things went off the rocks and Carr got injured and all these other things. And by the way, just to insert another little piece of information, I know that Mickey Loomis, the general manager of the Saints, said that they're waiting to get more clarity on Derek Carr's situation. But the reality is, at least as far as my league sources, and I'm not trust the people that I talk to because they have no reason to lie to me. The Saints knew about this going back to at least towards the end of last season. They've had an idea, just because the media right now is getting wind of some sorts and how this came out. My understanding, not what I feel, is what I'm being told, that at least by season's end, they already knew this. Okay, so we move on. What else is beneficial about Shedeur Sanders and the New Orleans Saints? I like the division better. I feel more comfortable with Shedeur Sanders in the NFC South as a rookie and going up against teams like the Panthers, and the Atlanta Falcons, who are going to have some discombobulation issues at quarterback. And so that's going to be something that they're going to have to contend with. I'm just talking about in terms of looking at it from the lens of what's most beneficial for sure. I'm not trying to put down those teams. I'm just saying, okay, in comparison to other divisions. And then, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are always going to be a formidable opponent or what have you. But the NFC South, in comparison to other teams who I think could be coming after him on defense in ways that they come after, they could maybe a little bit better start for him in the NFC South, right? And so this is why when I consider all of these factors that I feel like I like the Saints. I actually have a picture of Shedeur Sanders talking to members of the Saints that I'll actually include in this post when I post this video. I just think the more you put your head on it, I kind of like that. Now, let's talk about the number 2 team. What other team do I think is my second team that I wouldn't mind seeing him there? I'm not saying he couldn't flourish there. Would be happy to see him there as a member of the media. And of course, that is the New York Giants. If you're going to be in the Big Apple, you need to make a Big Apple pick and not have a problem with it. And who can handle the pressure of a New York Giants team and being in New York? Someone who's come from that, someone who's seen someone do it, someone who I was just at their pro day recently, and the biggest takeaway that I had from that Colorado pro day was how he just handled the pressure of the day. Just handled it, no problem. Oh, people usually on the sidelines watching the pro day. Oh, no, we were all right in the back forming a U shape behind Shedeur. No problem. It was like we weren't there. I wasn't there. Him and Travis Hunter, the biggest word that I took away from that pro day was unfazed. Now, some people have had conversations about how they felt like the pro day was run, whether it was their taste or whether their flavor. That to me, that's not it's not important, right? It's something to talk about, but it's not the meat and the potatoes of what you should be walking away from that pro day. Someone who, and I'm always mentioning this, of course, former Tar Heel Carolina athlete or what have you. When I am looking at an athlete beyond applying my discernment, for their talents and how they meet the basic metrics and the things that you look for, one of the biggest things that you always have to have discernment for, at least for me as a media person, and I think for a talent evaluator, is how they handle pressure. What does it matter if you a better elite rusher, if you're better this, or you got a better arm or what have you, if when it's fourth and gotta have it, or when it's the 2-minute drill, you got to do it, that you don't do it. And I'm not saying that there isn't still room more for Shedeur to grow, but what I'm seeing in terms of just the basic foundation for what you're looking for to see if someone has the makeup to handle pressure, which is what matters in a game of inches on Sunday, where just 1 yard or one call can make the difference between the win or the loss. He has that. Some of y'all done made mistakes on a lot of people that I have said over the years I could tell could not handle the pressure, at least in the way that I would like them to in comparison to others, whether it be your Carson Wentz's or your Zach Wilson's. Again, not personal attacks, just things that I have seen from games. Don't get me started about that Thursday night football game that the Jets played against the Jaguars back in the day, and I can name a lot more with some of the other prospects that I was just talking about. We're just talking about the game, not personal. Okay, so what else? Oh, another reason why I actually like Shedeur for the Giants. Not just also because they need him for that market and filling butts in the seats and the fact that I think it is a compatible choice. It's compatible. Oh, it would make that market move in so many different ways on the field and to the media. But you know what else I wanted to say about this? I actually like the pairing with Brian Daboll and Shedeur. And I'm not sure that I would have said that last year based off of the energy I was seeing on the field and things were happening. I don't know all the particulars of what was going on with Daniel Jones, things I said on the field, not on the field, things I seen with, Tyrod Taylor or whatever it was, in years past. Okay. But what I am going to say, and the good thing about me, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, is that in the recent times that I've run into Brian Daboll, as I'm always picking up on vibes and energy and things like that. I like what I'm feeling. I feel like just in the interaction and the energy that was coming through the eyes, he done been through some things. And that can be beneficial. You know how I know that? Because I've been through some things. We all been through some things. And we know what that can do. As I get a text, from Seattle there, when it comes to how you conduct yourself thereafter, what type of wisdom you have to offer, what's the tone you have, and how you deal with others, how teachable you are with the things that you have to say and how that comes across. And I like the way that Brian Dayball was coming across when I was talking to him. Because when life is going good, we all have things that happen, you know what I'm saying? And all I'm saying is I feel like he is in a good place as far as having a better handle on how he himself wants to handle people, pressure, adversity, dynamics that I hear that are going on in the building in terms of people being on the same page, not on the same page. Okay. So everybody take a step back with that. But getting back to the main point is I like that comparison. And I don't want to, because I know Pat Leonard was just on my show talking about, he's hearing that Brian Daboll may favor another prospect or what have you. What I would say is the challenge here, forget about who you're most comfortable with and who you want to maybe teach or, this or that. Show me that you can do it with the guy. That is what's going to be impressive, at least for me. And so that is what I will be looking for. And obviously, the big market would be beneficial for Shedeur in so many ways. Now, I still have it second to the Saints because all things considered, I think it would be even more beneficial to take a step down in market relative to everything. But I still think he can handle it. And if he's there at the pick, should be taken. Unless they're going to do something else, which is what not. I would not advise that. But anyways, that's what I have to say on that. And then we move to the Pittsburgh Steelers. You say, Josina, why? Why wouldn't you match Shedeur with Mike Tomlin? Mike Tomlin, he's the people's coach and he's coached so many people and what have you. Well, the first thing that comes to me as to why I don't think it's as much of a fit, I'm not sure that I like the presence of DK Metcalf and George Pickens there when it comes to Shedeur. I don't necessarily, it's not the veterans that I would first pick, when it comes to what they have going on, before even Shedeur arrives relative to their own situations and whether I think that's the best, for Shedeur. I'm not saying that they can't be leaders. I'm not saying they don't have things that they could teach. I'm just saying it's probably not the first duo that I would go to in comparison to the other teams. And then when I'm just looking at the recent judgment of the team, when it comes to their interactions, not only with Aaron Rodgers, but still waiting for Aaron Rodgers, especially after you've seen what just happened with Aaron and the Green Bay Packers, who, by my league sources, some of whom tried to tell the Jets, don't do it, and they still did it. That's a whole nother thing. And then what you've seen Aaron Rodgers just go through with the Jets. And not saying that Aaron's not a good teammate. I wrote articles on the fact that Aaron is a good teammate and is loved by a lot of his teammates there. And many of them have, very good things to say about him. And I make sure that I include that in the context. But also part of that context is Aaron Rodgers being on camels in Egypt. Mandatory camp and talking about on Pat McAfee, don't be a distraction while being a distraction. And going on Pat McAfee again after having a man-to-man in-person meeting, which is what you want when you're trying to hear from people that you don't want to be saying things behind your back or getting stabbed behind the back, and then having a paid-for counseling session on the Pat McAfee show in which you're whining about a franchise that did basically everything to make you happy and lacking the awareness to even see that while you're talking about that. And this is the team, not to just, belabor that because we know that, but the point that I'm saying this for is because this is the team that the Steelers, this is the quarterback rather that they're waiting for. And I kind of question that, just like I kind of question the compensation package that came in for DK Metcalf. Certainly, Tory Dandy, great job. John Schneider, you know that there's a lot of pressure there in Pittsburgh, especially after the way the postseason went for them. And you think about the history of wide receivers that have been mercurial and problematic, for the Steelers in the past, whether it be and just in terms of how things ended. Not that these people can't become better and evolve, but just to Chase Claypool's and what happened at times with AB, and then also what's my guy there? Deontay Johnson. And then you got things going on with Pickens last year. And then you bring in DK Metcalf, who the Seattle Seahawks, not me, who the Seattle Seahawks seem to be rushing to get out of the building. So I'm just saying, when I think about those things in comparison to the teams I was just talking about, I know all those dynamics mix for the best for Shedeur Sanders, no matter what I feel and think I know that people feel about, Mike Tomlin within, people around him, which, is great. But I'm just saying, in ranking that in comparison to the teams I was talking about, not necessarily the first place that I would go. Okay. And then lastly, I just wanted to say too, that when I think about conversations that I have, I know that there are people that are concerned not only about the fact that there still remains questions there at quarterback. And I know recently the GM there said that, all things remain on the table as far as getting that answered. And people are still trying to say, they feel confident about Mason Rudolph and they feel good. But we know what Mason Rudolph is going to be. And y'all trying to get past 8-8 and go further past the playoffs, and that's not it. It's not about being comfortable. It's about being progressed in advance past the teams that are doing better. That's what it's about. So that's why I say that. Okay, so that's why I say that. And lastly, just to put a little bow on this, for the report that just came out, on Shedeur, an anonymous source calling him entitled, and it's the worst formal interview that you've ever seen, or whatever it was. Y'all know what it is. How long ago was that formal interview? How long ago was the combine? That was like February 22nd to the 26th. It is April 23rd. How long has it been since you made this comment and then having it come out just literally a day before the draft? And why? And why with that timing? Why with that timing? I'm just so curious to be able to sit back and wait till next year. I cannot wait until Archie Manning is available for the draft, because I want to see all of these customary things that get said. Are they going to get said about the prestigious Manning family? None other than the patriarch who made sure that everybody knew that Eli Manning was not going to end up with the Chargers. Is that entitlement? Or is that moxie? Oh, not the moxie in the way that y'all were using to describe Johnny Manziel, who went number one overall. But it's entitlement. It's entitlement. There's that negative connotation, with Shedeur. This is a way that I'm going to end, because I'm pretty sure y'all done heard a lot about this already. So this is the way that I'm going to end it. It's just like, Odell said. I'm going to say this like he's the philosopher, but this is what comes to my mind when I think about all these comments that are being made about Shedeur Sanders. Just like he would say, you know what he'd be saying? He said, we gonna see, because we are going to see not only on Thursday, okay, but we are also going to see when the regular season comes. Okay, because that's really when the bell tolls, when we get to flush out the merit of the decision, much like with Lamar Jackson, right? In 2018. Oh, and again, when Lamar had the non-exclusive tag placed on him, and all these teams were like, no, we're good. Same teams. Some of y'all looking for a quarterback now? Oh. So excuse me if I'm not really putting all my eggs in the basket of some of the discernment of some of the things I seen out there. Because we gonna see. I'm Josina Anderson for The Exhibit. Make sure you catch my show on YouTube at The Exhibit Concept as the handle. You can catch more about the platform and also all of the offerings that I have relative to the platform at www.theexhibitconcept.com. And make sure you catch things that also break on Twitter on my personal handle at Josina Anderson, on X, and on passes.com. So for Josina Anderson, which is me, I'm your girl. Man, that's another call coming in. You know what? I'm Josina Anderson with The Exhibit. Come check me out. All right, y'all. Talk to you later. What's up? Oh my goodness. What is, and I got another call coming in. Hey, let me take this other one right quick. And I'm gonna call you. I'll call you right back. Okay. Bye. Hello?